Hey guys, it has been a while and I'm really sorry for not churning out these videos. But I'm still busy actually trying to just do stuff that I want to do, play some video games, read some books, and it really took me a very long time to get through this book that I want to talk to you guys about. It is called The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. It is your standard YA fantasy kind of novel. It has magic, it has princesses, and it has, unfortunately, a love triangle. So before I get started talking about this book and my review for this book, and some thoughts about it, I wanted to talk about why I started reading this book in the first place. Well, I had a few reasons. One, I've always wanted to read it because I had a lot of friends, 6-something years ago, talk about it, read it, and review it, and loved it. And I missed that kind of phase. I didn't really read it when it was still popular, when I was still a very young adult. I mean, I'm almost 22, but like 18, 18, 17, 16, that kind of age. And I missed it and I wanted to see, okay, how is it? How much would my perception, my opinion change of a YA fantasy if I read it as like an adult that has taxes and loans to pay off, basically. So this is gonna be like a first out of 3-part series, I guess. I will be reading Twilight and then I will be reading Divergent next, because again, I missed that time when it was popular and everyone was reading it and talking about it. So I really wanted to get started, and now that I have all this time in the world, well, kinda, I wanted to see how my perception would change. Alright, so let's get started. So Kiss of Deception, it's good, but not great. There are YA books that do what this book tries to do very well. Take Throne of Glass, for example. I know S.J. Moss is like, everyone knows S.J. Moss. She's like the Sword Art Online of YA like fantasy books. She's the person you go to if you want to have like a good introduction to the genre, to see what a lot of people use that template and create a book out of that. Now, I'm not saying all YA fantasy are dealing with princesses and love triangles and magic, but her book series does introduce a lot of the common tropes that, came after the popularity of her series. I'm not saying that she's the first one nor the best one, but I do have to say, her series is a pretty good introduction to that genre if you're very curious about it. So, Kiss of Deception, it deals with a princess. She's a runaway princess. She is destined to have a lot of power, being the first daughter of the royal family of the Kingdom of Morgan. And she does have a love triangle, and there is a whole plot kind of surrounding her power, her agency, and her role in the shaping of history and saving the world as we know it. That kind of like drastic world stakes kind of thing. Now, I do have to say, when I was talking about the love triangle, I made it seem like it's not such a big deal. Like it's there, but it's not, the whole thing. No, this whole book, until the last like 1/3 of this novel, deals with the love triangle between her, Caden, and Rafe. Rafe is the prince that she was fated to marry. She never met him, but she was about to marry him and she ran away. So he goes to find her to see what she was like. Caden is the guy sent to kill her because she made some enemies back at her kingdom, and it's not that important, honestly. It really is not that important. what's important is what she stole from the enemy at her kingdom, which is what makes this book more interesting and actually like made me want to keep reading, because I wanted to know what was so important, what was going to go on, and all of the things that, you know, were going to happen because of her consequences and what she did to run away from her responsibility. But that really only like matters in the last 1/3 of the book. You can guess what the other 2/3 of the book is about, and it's about the romance. It's completely, I think it's completely drawn out. The romance is not even that convincing nor great. I will have to say Rafe is justifiably the better one, and I'm pretty sure she ends up with him because he and her, they're the only ones to like actually have moments where she felt something and she actually reciprocated, more than just flirting or like, oh, he's cute kind of thing that she has with Caden. And, you know, things happen where she does not have a great opinion of Caden anymore. The book ends in a huge cliffhanger, and I do want to keep reading this series to find out what goes on. However, this first book is a very bad introduction to this series. I feel like, you know, if I were the author, I would have like moved the whole romance thing to the second and third book, not the first book, because as an adult, and I'm saying this as an adult, as an almost 22-year-old, you can't shove the most interesting parts to the end of the book and expect people to just stick around. If they don't like the romance, the love triangle, then they're not gonna finish this book. They're just not going to. So it's very interesting that she made 2/3 of this book about the romance. You know, However, I do have to say, if I were, you know, 15 to 18 years old, I would not have been bothered that much. I would have actually just kept reading it because, you know, we all love bad boys and princes and, you know, people who are swoon worthy, and I think YA gets a really bad rep because they have that. And I don't understand what's wrong with having a little bit of fantasy, like romance fantasy. You know, young girls, they're just going through puberty and they're horny. Let them have the hot boys. Let them have the hot boys. You know, and even like young boys who are reading this, let them have romance too. Let them be better lovers in the future. Who knows? Whatever. But yeah, those are my thoughts about this book. Now, I want to talk about YA in general, as this is the introduction, like, first part of my 3 video part series. YA is more than just young girls saving the world. It is an age range. It is a market. It has long been defined by books such as Twilight, Hunger Games, and Divergent. I am thinking of more YA books to name. There are more, I just can't think of them right now, but they've been defined by Twilight. That was like the first book to really like this market was like cemented on that for a while. YA supernatural, YA mystery, YA contemporary, you know, all of those things came from Twilight's like popularity, and then more and more subsets started like diverging from that, which is great. But I think YA just gets a really bad rep because young girls love those books, you know, and us as a society, we constantly slam young girls for their interests, for their hobbies, for what they are obsessing over, because it's seen as frivolous, right? But we constantly champion young boys and what they like, and what they care about. For example, if Harry Potter was not embraced by the young boy audience, it would not have gone to you know, the social phenomenon that it was in the past like 10-15 years when it was coming out and new books were coming out. People were really excited about the movies and all of that. Like, that was insane, right? And how come when Twilight comes around, people are still making memes even to this day? Oh, this is a better love story than Twilight, or like Twilight is just such a bad book and I have blah blah blah, everything's just so stupid. Like, okay, we get it. Boys get to have their spy, Fast and Furious kind of fantasies. We girls can't have one unshitty guy or 5 unshitty guys in our lives to like fantasize about. I don't understand what's like so like harmful about that, right? So there's a really good video from Lindsay Ellis. She talks about like Twilight and what society had done to her and her books, and vilified her entire creation because of this self-internalized and self-actualized and externalized misogyny, which is like kind of the inspiration why I wanted to create this series. You know, as an older woman going back to these books and seeing how it really did impact the way that society and views these girls, and the way that, you know, I view these books, having gone through that phase myself, right? So Twilight will be next, I believe, and then Divergent. I'm actually kind of excited to read Twilight because I just never read it and my sister loved it. So let's see what that's gonna be about. Anyways, thank you so much for sticking around to the end of this video. I definitely want to talk more about these kinds of YA books because it's just something that's really very near and dear to my heart. It's something that got me back into reading, and I don't want to constantly only read stuff that like I already have. I want to branch out a little bit more, you know? Yeah. Oh, before I forget, I will edit this into the middle. I don't think there is anything inherently wrong with having a chosen one in a book, especially when you know that she is one. She is the first daughter of the royal family, right? So she has this incredible power that she doesn't really know, nor know how to control. So I think the future books, the future installments to the series will be way more interesting as you see how it actually realizes and how it actually affects people around her and the world, of course. And I think like this author does a really good job with world building, and she does a really good job with the poems, the mystery, the languages that the main character deals with throughout the whole book. Those things were great. That romance subplot was just way too long, way too annoying and unnecessary for it to like be necessary, like, ugh, for it to be this long. Okay, it didn't need to be this long. It really didn't. Okay, ending comments. Bye. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you click like, subscribe, and comment your opinions on this. I'll probably write a blog post for this, and it's gonna be way more cohesive than this video was. Ugh, oh my god. Thank you.